Welcome back to the MyLatinLife podcast. Since 2014, MyLatinLife has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Today, we have a Costa Rica episode for you guys. Our guest today is Mark Savoya, Costa Rica Playbook. He's originally Canadian. He helps people relocate to Costa Rica, and we welcome Mark to the podcast.
What's going on? How's it going? Hope all is going well in Mexico. Let me know, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. You're pretty active on both Instagram, YouTube, I think TikTok as well. And we'll put the links in the description so people can check out your channel. But Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into all this and kind of your epiphany as a Canadian in Central America?
The way we got into it was at the beginning of COVID. We decided that we had enough. We come from a small town just north of Toronto. And that mentality of, when the neighbors walk by or you go on the streets, you want to say hi to everybody. That's just our nature. We're humans. So I said to my wife, I had a big, massive construction company. My wife was a big time real estate agent. She still is. And I just said enough was enough. We sold our houses. We sold our properties. We sold our cars, our businesses. Well, I sold my business. And I said, that's it. We're making the move. I'm making the move with or without you. We've been married for over 20 years. And I decided we're making the move to Latin America. And we picked Costa Rica. Now, we came to Costa Rica and we were looking to retire. So we got rental properties and everything. And one day I was sitting on the couch after 4 months of actually doing nothing because I was just wanting to be able to decompress and figure out what the next step is in our life to do. And one of my wife's friends reached out to her and said, hey, can you help us when it comes to making the move? Because there's so much miscommunication or information online and so contradicting to people. I thought, yeah, I'll give her a hand. So I gave her all the tools that she needed and the contacts to make the move to Costa Rica, everything from private jets to immigration, accountants, lawyers, you name it. So this way there's no conflicting information. And within, I'd say about 5 minutes, she had about 100 to 200 responses. So I thought, okay, not a big deal. Within a few hours, she had over 1,000 responses. So I said, okay, maybe I have something here. I've always been self-employed. Can never really sit back and do nothing. And I figured, okay, let's try something. So I would go on any site that had anything to do with the Prime Minister of Canada, the President of the United States. And I started putting up posts everywhere, anything and everywhere. A local Canadian living in Costa Rica. If you're looking to make the move, reach out to us. We'll give you a hand. And the next thing you know, next morning, woke up, I had over 1,500 messages. Now, over 375,000 messages later, over 5 years later, we've indirectly helped over 80,000 people make the move to Costa Rica. It was just an epiphany. I got into real estate, and then there's also a lot of controversy online because we don't have any MLS system, nothing to help you out to know what's new, what's old. So I opened up a brokerage, and now I have a brokerage, a very selected few real estate agents across all of Costa Rica that work for me. And now we help everyone. Now, when somebody uses us to purchase a property, every step of the way, when you're looking to make the move, I will assist you with accountants, lawyers, everything right down to private jets. I have access to private jets around the world. How to open up bank accounts, how to move your money over, how to protect your assets, how to shield your assets. So we help out. Absolutely 100% free. We're the relocation companies here in Costa Rica. They start at $2,000. And by the time they're done, you're spending upwards of over $10,000 to get the information that I will provide for you for free.
Thank you. That's a really good overview. And I definitely want to ask about the private jets, but it might derail us a little bit in the beginning of the convo. So I'll make a pin to come back to that. What was this platform that you were using to send the messages saying, hey, we're here to help? Was it on Reddit or or
Man,
Facebook or where?
it was me going on Facebook, and I would go to any and every single group that people had put together. I'd go onto every single site. So I'm the type of person that I've got really bad OCD. So when I get something fixated in my mind, I will go anywhere and everywhere. I surf all the different WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, Instagram groups, TikTok, on X, and I post my little blurb everywhere.
Mhm.
Now I have a big marketing team that strategically works with different big marketing firms throughout Canada, the US. We have connections in Dubai, so I can open up accounts in Dubai and everything. Um, and it just, the word got out there, and the next thing I know, it just, the way the internet works, I got bombarded, and my posts got started getting shared hundreds of thousands of times.
Mm.
And it was just like, hey, we're Canadians. We moved to Costa Rica. If you're looking for help, if you want to get away from the uncertainty that's happening around the world, reach out to us. We're here to help you. And next thing I know, I was just bombarded. Every day I was getting a minimal of like anywhere from 500 of upwards of over 2,000 messages a day. And I would tell people, don't email me because I'm not going to respond to you. But on WhatsApp, I can share with you and show you. Um, I would just respond to everybody, leaving them a voice message, right?
Mm.
Because it's so easier for you to actually hear somebody's voice than for me to type something, so you don't like misconstrue what it is I'm saying to you, and you can hear the emotions behind it. And next thing I know, people were just connecting, and it was just one after another. It's just going crazy now with all the uncertainty that's happening right now in the U.S. and Canada. The amount of people that are reaching out to us, wanting help and wanting to be able to shield their assets and protect themselves, are now reaching out, and it's just been going like gangbusters um, with helping people make the move to Costa Rica, to Latin America.
Yeah, totally. I think we got ahead of a good trend here. So good
100%.
job. I guess let's dive deep into that dynamic a little bit. So, a Canadian, what is the sort of pros and cons, or what is the calculus for someone to want to move to Costa Rica? What do you find that people are looking for?
Well, what it is people are looking for that pura vida lifestyle. But what they don't understand, as I always tell people, is when you're making a move like this to Latin America, if it's Mexico, anywhere else, I basically tell them, I go, you're like a baby. You're starting over. You don't have any credit. You don't have any history. So when making a move like this, do you have enough of sufficient funds to carry yourself, to network, to market, right? That's the most important thing that people need to understand, right? Because I see a lot of people come, and I see a lot of people leave because they think that it's going to be inexpensive. Now, a lot of people, when they come and they say, hey, we're going to rent, what they don't understand is, unlike the US and Canada, when it comes high season, the landlords can actually kick you out of their house. Because if a house is, charging $3,000 a month plus utilities, in that high season, that house can make 9,000, 12,000 a month. So I always tell people, make sure you have enough sufficient funds. If you're going to buy a place, you're going to buy a car, and then the cost of living will be relatively cheap compared to the US or Canada. But if you're renting, you're going to be spending a lot of money when you're renting a property here in Costa Rica, and then adding all your bills. So I see a lot of people come, and a lot of people go, and then they always say to me, Mark, what about work? Well, what's the saying go? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a horse drink. I've helped a lot of people open doors, but I can't sit there and babysit them and watch the connections grow.
Mm.
But I'll open the doors for them if they need help. Now, a lot of the most aggressive people that come down here and motivated want to start up businesses, and they do it. And we do have some success stories where people have come down with literally nothing in their pocket, and they built themselves up. But majority of people, I tell them, when you're making a move like this, you have to buy a house, you got to buy a car. Make sure you have a minimal of $1 million in your account if you're going to get going, because the entry level for a home in an area that is well diversified when it comes to expats that you want to be amongst others, you're going to still be spending at the entry level, some homes at 325,000 US, but the average home is around $500,000. and then get yourself a vehicle that is sufficient and it's not going to break down on you all the time. Just be prepared to spend a minimal of 40,000 US dollars for a vehicle such as that type. If you want something, that's going to be even more reliable, you're looking anywhere upwards of $60,000 to $80,000.
Okay, so you're really kind of marketing towards, a more high end audience.
It all depends, right? Would I really say high end? Not really. When I do talk to a lot of people, I do hear, and it's kind of like I feel bad in ways because when I talk to a lot of individuals, they might have they might have $200,000 as all their savings because they got to pay off debt or they got to pay off mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm honest with them. I tell them don't make the move because that money that you have, it's not going to last you long. Right. So I want to be as transparent as possible to let people know that when you're making a move like this, you have to have sufficient funds. Right. Majority of people that I do deal with, a lot of them are business owners. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, right, that want to make this move. And when I tell them, you have to have this, a certain amount of sufficient funds to make this move to Costa Rica, they understand and they have no problem. So when I ask them, once you diversify and you sell all your assets, what is it that you have left? 90% of the people will tell me what they have. And then, I can be sufficient enough to tell them, yes, you can make this move, or, what, no, don't bother. Maybe go look at, Colombia, maybe go look at Panama, Nicaragua.
And the whole reason is because the rental market is super screwed up in Costa Rica.
You know what? It is Costa Rica for 2026 has already been nominated as the number one place to move, but it's actually been now nominated one of the best tourist areas in all of Latin America. Rent here, if you're in a good area now, you can go up into the mountains. You can go into little Costa Rican towns, and you can find rent for $600, $700, $800 a month US plus bills. But when you're going to be centralized in a tourist area like Uvita, where we live, or Dominical, expect your entry level rent to start at $2,000, $2,500 a month in low season, which is from May until November. And then high season, that $2,500 is going to be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. I have some houses in Manuel Antonio that rent out for $50,000, $60,000 US a week. And they sit at an 85 to a 90% occupancy rate. It's different, man. It's a different
world, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a different creature on its own.
I mean, Miami would be cheaper than that.
Man, have you seen the Miami market? So Miami, we have family that have properties in Miami. Miami, for a condo, you're looking at $1.52 million for a little 800 square foot condo, starting price to purchase. I deal a lot with Miami clients, and I have a lot of brokers that I deal with in Miami. Rent prices in Miami start at $4,000 to $5,000 US for that same condo. And I have clients that rent properties in Miami for $250,000 up to like $400,000 a month for properties in Miami.
Renting for $400,000 a month?
100%.
Man, I need your clients. No, okay. Wow. There's a lot to unpack here. And I feel like I could beat you up a bit about the cost of living here, because this is crazy. But it brings up kind of an interesting sort of macro issue in Latin America, in Central America, which is, tell me if you agree with this or what you think, but Costa Rica was really like the darling of Central America 10, 15 years ago. I went for the first time in like 2006 or something, and it was everything was Costa Rica, like even more so than Mexico.
Yep.
And I feel like now Costa Rica has taken a back burner to Mexico, to El Salvador now, to Panama, and now even some people would maybe even rather be in, say, like Guatemala. But what are you kind of seeing? Do you think is Costa Rica, would you agree with that assessment that it's kind of fallen below the popularity of, say, Panama, El Salvador, or what are you kind of seeing?
Well, they just announced that in 2000, at the end of 2025, 2026, New York Times, the economist for the U.S. came down to analyze more millionaires have moved to Costa Rica in the past 2 years than anywhere else in the entire world. Now, the difference here is, I don't know if you've seen in Mexico, you know, the cartels have warned the Americans that if you come to Mexico, you will be pretty much beheaded. So a lot of Americans are scared to go to Mexico, even though, it's the way media works. Now, when Trump got rid of all the criminals and sent them back, El Salvador used to be safe. The same with Nicaragua and Panama. And I have friends that live in Panama. And one of my close buddies that lives in Panama got chased by 12 kids down the street with bars that were going to literally put him in the hospital to rob him for $20. Right. So a lot of people are in Panama. So a lot of people are in Panama City. Yeah. So like I go to Panama, I go to Colombia, I go to Medellin and all that. Right. You just have to be aware of your surroundings in those areas. But the dynamics is changing. Now, there is a treaty amongst all the countries when it comes to Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, I've met some very influential political people from around the world that have purchased properties here. And that's the difference. So you got people like, Michael Jordan, you have Paul Steiner, you have a lot of celebrities, but a lot of politicians, I can't mention names, that have purchased properties here because there's a treaty amongst all of them that they understand that Costa Rica by no means can be touched. So a lot of them are moving their assets and themselves and their families into this country for that reason, because it's a country that is protected. So it's gained its popularity during COVID and it is now flourishing. And they were categorized before, as people think Costa Rica, third world. It's actually been upgraded to a first luxury class now in Costa Rica because of the amount of biodiversity and the amount of wealth that has moved into Costa Rica. And it keeps flourishing with the amount of people that are moving into Costa Rica.
So Mark, let me ask you about the safety thing, since we're on the topic. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter and in kind of my digital nomad type community that Costa Rica has actually gotten more dangerous in recent years, partly due to the rise in the cost of living and other factors. And there's almost like a mismatch between the reputation and the reality. Like the reputation is pura vida, everybody's like hippie chill. And then the reality is there actually is quite a lot of like burglaries and home, that kind of stuff. And that it's actually worse than, say, Panama next door. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
Brother, we have a friend named Kevin who lives in Panama. He lives in the old city of Panama. And during the day, he can't walk the streets during the daytime because the cops tell him to get out because you will get shot or you will get stabbed. Costa Rica, like anywhere else in the world, you have your areas that are, not so popular if you're amongst the little Costa Rican towns. But when you get into places like San Jose, you go Uvita, you go Dominical, even Jaco, if you go to Nasara, Santa Teresa, Montezuma, Guanacaste, Liberia, if you go to the more extravagant areas, safety, we've got, girls that are 15, 16, 17 years old that are hitchhiking, with their surfboards and people pick them up and there's of no concern whatsoever. But if you go to the areas that are sketchy and run down, do you have to watch yourself? No, I do travel all through Costa Rica. I travel in those areas. And over the last 5 years, I've never had an issue with anybody because I'm not looking for any problems. But if you're looking for it, if you're trying to score yourself some type of drugs, yeah, you'll get yourself into a situation. Now, break-ins, burglaries, man, I haven't had any break-ins in my area, no burglaries. I have no bars on my windows, nothing. We're in subdivisions that we have a lot of young kids and everything running around. 1 second. Safe. There are no concerns. A lot of people talk, and what it is there's a lot of it is negative comments because a lot of people want to make the move to Costa Rica, but they realize that they can't afford to make the move to Costa Rica. So what they'll do is they'll put their own personal preference out there and say that, well, the crime is through the roof. There's a lot of stabbings, a lot of murders. Like, in Canada, where I used to live in Toronto, every day I have friends that neighbors have been shot in the head in their own home because of home invasions. And the police tell you, leave your keys at the front door. Somebody breaks in your house, just don't do anything. Give them whatever they want. I have friends that have bulletproof glass. They got automatic shutters that come down, and at nighttime, and their house closes down like it's purge. Here we don't have it. Man, I've got done up Jeeps and side by sides and toys, and just leave them outside, and I never have a worry, never have a concern, nothing whatsoever.
Okay, good to hear. I love it. Moving on to visas and residency, what are you seeing in terms of, particularly about speed of approvals? There's kind of this idea out there that Costa Rica's probably the slowest country in Central America with approving the visa. So after you've submitted your application, we're hearing it's taking like more than 6 months, even up to a year to get approved. But you tell me kind of what you're seeing on that.
It's always about who you know, not what you know. We've had approvals. The average approval will, and it's confirmed, it will take anywhere from 4 to 10 months to get your approval for your temporary residency, right? Because we have different categories. We have an investor, which is $150,000 and allow you to come into the country as an investor to get your residency. We have rentista, which is a CD portfolio of $60,000. And you show you have the $60,000 to be sufficient enough to allow yourself to be in the country as a temporary resident. This way, you're not stealing work from the locals, and you can provide yourself a comfortable way of life to live with $2,500 a month given back to you. They just changed the rules on that. You no longer have to actually have the $60,000 in a CD portfolio. You just have to show them that you have sufficient funds to allow for your residency. We have pensionado, which is a retiree. You have to make a minimum of $1,000 per couple, and it'll allow you to get residency in the country as a retiree, right? We have universal basic health care in Costa Rica that we all contribute, which is the CAHA. Any pre-existing conditions you have, medications and all that, they're 100% covered. And then you do have your private healthcare sector on top of that, which is above and beyond what the basic public healthcare is. So it is pretty good, man. Not going to complain.
Okay, nice. So 4 to 10 months to get approval. Do you have a sense for what moves faster? Like, does investor visa move faster because people are investing, or is it actually slower because it's kind of more complicated because it's more documents?
The documentation is all the same. It all depends on who you use. The team that I have is strictly immigration, and an immigration lawyer that works right in the embassy of Costa Rica. If she can't get it done, Joanna, nobody can get it done. She gets the approval rates really, really fast. I had my temporary when it was time within 3 months. Now I'm a permanent resident, and there are a lot of benefits of being a resident in Costa Rica. Now for Americans, you're supposed to be able to, everything has to be disclosed to the U.S. But I actually have loopholes and ways for Americans to be able to resign as a resident of the U.S., keep their citizenship, keep their 401k, but only have to pay taxes in Costa Rica and no longer have to declare anything to the U.S. But keep their citizenship, but no longer be a resident of the U.S. So there are, like I said, it's all about who you know, not what you know. And if you have the right people in your pocket and you know what you're doing, everything becomes a breeze.
Okay. And sorry, a bit of a technicality, but I'm just curious. So you said your team is kind of positioned with the embassy. Does that mean like the embassy in Ottawa in Canada, or which embassy?
With the embassy here in Costa Rica. So
okay, like the Migraciones office, you mean?
Exactly, 100%. So when I have people, a lot of my clients are Americans, Canadians. I do have a lot of Europeans. I do get asked a lot of ways of how can we shelter our assets? How can we move our funds? How do we diversify? And I have the specific team, everybody that they need, from accountants, lawyers, real estate lawyers, litigation lawyers, criminal lawyers, anything and everything you need, all the way from the documentation, like I said, for Americans, that you can resign as an American resident, but keep your citizenship, but have to pay taxes only in Costa Rica. And when I say pay taxes in Costa Rica, you're probably going to pay about 5, if you're lucky, maybe 10% in total of taxes, compared to paying 40, 50% in the US or up to 60% in Canada.
Okay. Well, I don't want to go too deep into that because I know it can get complicated. But
100%.
maybe you'll have to tell me some of that stuff offline, especially with the Americans, because what you said was pretty interesting there. One more question about visas and residencies. Historically, one of the reasons that the Costa Rica residency visa hasn't been as popular as Panama is Panama has the low physical presence thing, where you can go one day every 2 years. And in Costa Rica, there's sort of a controversy about, do you need to go every 6 months? Or, do you have to be there 6 months a year, or just visit one day every 6 months? Or is it even less frequent than that? Could you kind of speak to the presence requirements? I'm sure you get asked all the time.
I get asked all the time. Now, there's misinformation when it comes to Panama too. When you apply for a residency, what they need you to do is to fly into the country. Your passport has to show that you have an entry stamp into Costa Rica, even the same as Panama, because there's a lot of controversy online. With that, you start your immigration process. Now, when your immigration process gets approved, you have to be in the country. It doesn't matter which country in Latin America, you have to be in that country, because you then have to go for full criminal record prints and record report, and you have to submit all the documentation to show what type of criminal history, if you have any, from the origin of the country that you're coming from. So that's in all the same ways. Now, once you get approval and you get your paperwork, you then don't have to be in Latin America, Costa Rica. You can go back home wherever it is. But then once your temporary residency comes in, you do have to come back in the country. And this goes for all of Latin America. And you have to go to one of the postal offices, and you have to submit documentation, take your photo, and then you have the approval of your physical DMEX card, which is like your social security card. It comes in, and you have to be able to come in person.
So you submit whatever, I think you can leave Costa Rica after you submit the application.
Yep.
And then we talked about 4 to 10 months to get approved. And then you come back after you get the approved, and then you can, pick up your DMEX card. That's what you're saying.
You're going to come back. Well, you're going to come back. You're going to have to take your photo and everything at one of the postal offices. And then from there, what it is, you can either have your immigration lawyer on your behalf request and get your physical card for you. But a lot of people are excited, so they'll take the flight back. And when their card comes in, they'll pick up their own physical card themselves.
Okay. Right. So you're saying a power of attorney could actually pick up the card?
A power of attorney can, if you open up an LLC and a corporation. An LLC and a corporation is anywhere between $800 to $1,500 to open up here. It takes about 48 hours to have it open and approved, and then you can give signing authority to either your accountant, your lawyer, to represent on your behalf, to be able to do whatever it is you want, the logistics, purchase properties, or pick up your DMEX card for you.
Okay, cool. And then kind of the second part of my question there was, once you get approved for the residency, once you have the DMEX, what are the ongoing obligations, physical presence requirements in Costa Rica? Because I've heard widely differing opinions about, is it one day every 6 months, or there's this sort of like 6 months number that comes up a lot, now, specifically with Costa Rica.
The reason why 6 months, now 6 months doesn't just restrain to Costa Rica. It actually restrains to every country around the world. Even in Mexico, this is actually pertaining to Mexico too. For you to legally become a resident in one place at any given time, you're only allowed to be a resident in one place at any given time. You can't be a resident of the US, you can't be a resident of Canada, and then say, hey, well, I'm a resident of Mexico, I'm a resident of Panama, I'm a resident of Costa Rica. This is the misinformation that has been given out online. You can only submit on your taxes one place legally by law to become a resident. You can be dual citizenship. Now Trump's changing that.
If you're you mean like domicile.
Exactly. So like Trump's changing it, right? If you are a citizen of the US, he's trying to change it that you cannot be a citizen of Portugal, Italy, Costa Rica, Panama. He's changing the rules on that. So when you're a resident, you submit on your forms that you're a resident. Well, I'm a resident of Costa Rica. I'm no longer a resident of Canada. Even though I'm a citizen of Canada, I will never become a citizen of Costa Rica. I just have no need for it. But I'm a resident of Costa Rica. So I submit my taxes and pay my taxes solely in Costa Rica, right? Which is a lot less. So that's the misinformation that a lot of people get. They think that, well, I got my Mexican card or my DMEX in Costa Rica. I'm now a resident in that place. You're not. You have to be 6 months and 1 day out of the physical country where your passport is stamped and entered into the country where you want to become a resident. And that will physically, for legality wise, make you a resident of that country. So when people or snowbirds are flying out to the US or they're flying to Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, the government will always say, well, if you want to keep your coverage, like for Canadians or OHIP, they say you have to be back in the country before the 6 months is over, or you lose your OHIP, your access to healthcare, which is also misinformation. But so people get scared and they run back. They'll run back for, a week, 2 days, 3 days, and then they come back to Costa Rica. So it keeps their OHIP and their coverage and everything active in the country that they're originally from.
Okay. One or two more questions about this, because this is hugely interesting for people. Regarding the OHIP thing, basically Canadian healthcare, you must get this question all the time, so would love to hear your thoughts on it. There's this idea that if you spend more than 6 consecutive months outside of Canada, you lose your healthcare in Canada. And so a lot of Canadian expats or snowbirds who are sort of like on the fence, especially the snowbirds who haven't like fully moved, they go, oh, I need to come back every 6 months to like sort of reactivate or keep active my Canadian healthcare. Is that, what do you kind of think about that?
Man, I've had people that have been here for like a year, 2 years, Canadians, they've gone back home and they use their OHIP card. As long as you go back to the country, for a lot of people that don't submit residency in other foreign countries, the minute you go back and you go to one of the licensing bureaus and you renew your OHIP card. Now, our old OHIP cards never had an expiry date on it, so they would never be able to tell how long you're gone for. Our new ones do. They expire like every 5 years, so you have to get a renewal. But there's so many people, like, especially with foreigners right now coming into Canada, even the US is having this problem, that they have access to the OHIP. They have access to everything. So realistically, they can't really keep track of who's gone and who's still back at home. So a lot of people go back. I have friends that go back and have surgeries done there, and they use their OHIP, they get it done, and then they come right back.
Okay. So it sounds like you're saying as long as the card is not expired, then you're good.
Yep. Don't have a problem.
Okay. And then, who knows the complications of like renewing that card if you're not living there the majority of the year in Canada, but we can leave that one aside. And then just back to the physical presence requirements about Costa Rica specifically. So Mark, let's just say for me, if I want to keep living in Mexico the majority of the year and I want to get Costa Rica residency as like a plan B residency, I understand. I think it's like a 3-year path to permanent residency, 3 years of temp.
It is. Yep.
So how can I, like, if I did 1 day a year or 1 day every 6 months in Costa Rica, am I going to be able to renew my residency? Am I going to be able to work
100%.
towards permanent residency?
100%. As long as they see that, what it is you have a monthly CAHA payment, Universal Basic Healthcare payment here in Costa Rica. Uh-huh. So if you come in as an investor and you bought a property, it can be anywhere between $70 and $120 for the first 3 years, every month. As long as you're paying into that and you show that you're contributing into that, and you show your presence twice a year, you won't have any issues. 2 flights to Costa Rica, you're spending 2 days, no problem.
So what does twice a year mean? Does that mean
once every 6 months?
Okay. So I was right. There is kind of a once every 6 months thing.
Yeah. But the same thing also applies for Panama. Same thing applies for Nicaragua. Same thing, and I have friends of this, same thing applies for Mexico. Same thing applies for Colombia. They have to see your presence at least your 1 day out of every 6 months in those countries.
Yeah, I don't want to get argumentative, but I don't think that's the case in Mexico or Panama. I think you are right in Nicaragua because I think in Nicaragua you have to actually renew the card every 6 months, and you have to like go to this downtown office in Managua like every 6 months. So yeah, Nicaragua kind of sucks with that, but Panama is 1 day every 2 years once you're on permanent residency.
Once you're
Mexico,
permanent, but
yeah,
temporary is temporary residency.
temp, yeah,
Even temporary in Mexico, trust me, I've got friends who have bought in Playa del Carmen, in Cancun, have bought hotels to get their residency. Like we're talking million dollar hotels. And when
wow,
they went to go renew their residency cards, they ask you for your passport. They want to
wow,
see your entry and your exit on your passport stamps. A lot of places will ask for your passports
yeah.
to make sure that you're
Yeah, Mexico
legitimate.
doesn't have a 6 month thing though. You just need to be there. You just need to renew your card, but it's all right. We don't have to go
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that. Okay, so with Costa Rica, 1 day every 6 months, and do you
Yep.
have to renew the card, or is it just so that there's the entry sort of into the
So
system, or
your first card, you get your first DMX card, and it's good for 2 years.
okay,
At the
first
2 year
card.
mark, you have to resubmit, and then they give you one additional year, and then after that additional year, after 3 years, as a temporary, you
It's
get your
PR.
permanent residency card.
Okay. So the 6 month thing, who am I trying to please? Like who's
It's the immigration lawyer. So when they submit the documentation to the government of Costa Rica, it legitifies that, yes, you were in the country. Yes, you
okay.
did submit.
For the guy who's doing the renewal or
Exactly.
the PR.
Exactly. And then once you get your permanent residency, the card is good for 5 years.
Okay. So the immigration lawyer is going to sort of have a way to, I don't know, print out a list of all your entries and exits to the country in the past couple of
They,
years type
they
of thing.
take care. Yeah, they take care of it all. They
Okay.
know. It's pretty straightforward. Pretty easy, actually.
Okay. That makes sense. So visit every 6 months. Yeah, because then you think about like for like a Canadian retiree, let's just say they went back to Canada for the summer type of thing. They have to sort of just make sure that they're visiting Costa Rica every sort of 5.5 months.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Very straightforward. Not hard to do.
Okay, cool. And thanks for indulging me there regarding the physical presence stuff. Just because I everybody asks about it, and I truly believe that it's one of the reasons Costa Rica has lost a little bit of competitiveness compared to Mexico and Panama, which kind of work a bit better
Yep.
as a Plan B residency. Where Costa Rica, you have to really want it. Like you have to actually want to spend time there. Obviously, if you have to, visit every 6 months for 3 years, basically.
Man, like I said, it's been publicized everywhere. Costa Rica has had more millionaires in the last 2 years move here than anywhere else in the world, um, because of the popularity that it has gained. And it's actually been nominated the number one place for retirees. Now, for the ones that can afford it, Costa Rica has been, because we don't get hurt by hurricanes.
Hmm.
We do have a peace treaty. We're one of the only countries that don't have a military army. Now, the reasoning behind that, it's who's backing up Costa Rica. Nobody in their right minds will ever start a war or mess with Costa Rica, because they will be tumbled. They will be demolished. So that's why you have a lot of very influential people, that have their assets, or they run their businesses through Costa Rica for that reason. So it's not for the entry level individuals that want to make the move. It's for the ones that are more well to do, the entrepreneurs, the ones that I get calls all the time, and I'm on the phone with a ton of people with their financial advisors. And we're not talking about moving hundreds of thousands. We're talking about moving hundreds of millions of their dollars into Costa Rica and showing them how to shield their assets in Costa Rica. Right. And I always tell them, I'm like, I'm not a licensed professional financial advisor, but I will direct you in the right manner on who can help you legitify what it is you want to do.
Okay, cool. So, and how are you on time, by the way? Because I know we were originally only scheduled till now. Are you good for another like 15 minutes ish?
Yeah, not a problem. Of
Okay,
course.
cool, cool, cool. Cool. So, I've been I read your playbook, the Costa Rica Playbook is a really good guide that, we'll put a link in the description that
Yeah.
people can go to your website and download and get on your mailing list thing. Um, I can't get over this 6 month thing. It's like, imagine if someone was living in, say, Panama or El Salvador, sort of next door. And so they're in the region anyway.
Yeah.
And you just said, like, hey, man, if you're living in Boquete, Panama anyway, like, why not get Costa Rica residency? And you can just pop over the border once every 6 months and you can work towards permanent residency in Costa Rica. That'd be kind of cool.
Remember, you got to tell people, like I have international tax accountants that out of Canada, because I have family that owns one of the biggest lending mortgage companies in Canada. You legally, and I tell this to everybody, you legally can only be a resident at one place, at one country at a time. You cannot be a dual resident anywhere in the world. If they want to break down on you, they will actually seize all your assets anywhere in the world if you claim dual residency. You can be dual citizen, but you cannot become a dual resident of anywhere in the world. That is false information across the board anywhere.
So you can be a legal resident of multiple countries. Like, I'm a legal resident of like 6, 7 countries. But I think you're kind of referring to like a domicile or tax residency.
Okay, so if you're a legal resident of 6 countries,
Mm-hmm.
have you talked to an international tax accountant?
Well, legal and tax residency are different.
No,
So,
no. What I'm trying to say to you is, have you actually confirmed with an international tax accountant? I'll give you one after that deals with this with multimillionaires. And have you seen the legalities of you claiming? You have to claim on your taxes and on your forms
uh-huh.
of which countries you are a resident. If the minute you submit and you show that you're a legal resident of 6 countries, your assets will be frozen, and you can actually be facing jail time for that, because
Frozen by whom?
by the governments of the countries that you are claiming to be residents of. Legally, by law, and you check with an international tax accountant, you can only be a resident at one place at a time. You're not allowed to be a resident of multiple places. Look into it. Trust me, I'll give you the name to one of the biggest international tax accountants in Canada that will actually tell you this, because when we do the documentation, we do what we have to do. And when I was doing it with myself, because I do own a lot of physical assets, I wanted to make sure that there was no way that I can actually lose my assets. Cross my T's, dot my I's. There's a lot of misinformation, and people think, well, I can be a resident of Canada, I can be a resident of Florida, I can be a resident of Colombia, I can be a resident of Mexico. And then when they find out from an international tax accountant, the proper guys to talk to, they find out and they go, holy shit, I can only be a resident of one place. That's why when you have OHIP in Canada, I am not allowed to now use OHIP. I am not allowed to pay taxes in Canada because I'm not a resident of Canada anymore. I can only be a resident of one place at a time. It has to be the place that I'm living in. That's my residency. If I falsify and say I'm a resident also in Mexico, I'm a resident of Panama, I can actually, you're committing fraud. And international tax accountant will tell you that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the confusion comes from, there's like 4 or 5 different sort of legal terms here. There's domicile, there's tax home, there's tax residency, there's legal residency, and they're all a little bit different.
No, they are different. But where do you pay your taxes?
Primarily the U.S.
Do you pay them every year?
Well, yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen, so.
You're U.S. citizen. Now, do you claim that on your tax forms, do you submit that you're living in Mexico? Or do you have an address back in the U.S.?
I'm like, how much should I say? I do say that there is I do provide a foreign address on my U.S. tax return, because I claim what's called the foreign earned income exclusion, because I spend less than 35 days a year in the U.S. So this is very like U.S. citizen specific. I'm sure it's like the only
150% I know about this.
So yeah, I'm sure it comes up for you a lot. But we can move on a little bit, because that's definitely a can of worms.
It's all good.
So what are some of the biggest issues you see that the Canadians are having, or some of the biggest concerns that they have, or things they need to deal with? So whether, it might be like bringing dogs to Costa Rica, it might be, I need to sell my home in Canada first so that I can buy a home in Costa Rica second. It could be the making money online thing. What are some of the biggest sort of obstacles or
Well,
things that come up?
a lot of people, when they ask about dogs, and this is where we provide a lot of the information, I do have a 6 course video online that's free on my website. But I show you step by step how to get the approval for your pet to come to Costa Rica. It's very simple. It's a form online that your vet has to fill out. Make sure that their vaccines or their shots are all up to date. Has to be filled out with a blue pen, not a black pen. You go to the Food and Safety Inspection Board. You submit it, they stamp it, and that's the entry for your pet to get into Costa Rica. It's very straightforward. A lot of people have problems with, well, how do I open up bank accounts? How do I move money around? And the simplicity of that is 6 months bank statements, reference of a letter from the bank when you opened up your account and that you're in good standings. And you want to submit and show that your taxes are all paid up to date. Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll try to, evade paying their taxes and just want to move their assets here to Costa Rica. Now, like I said, there is loopholes and there's many ways to get around what it is you want to do. But I always tell people, don't burn your bridges. You never know when you're going to need to either A, go back, B, need to be back. So you don't want to burn those bridges. There's a lot of people that move, I know, that have even moved to Panama and have burnt their bridges, right? And have shielded their assets so that, the CRA or the IRS cannot touch them whatsoever, right? And they evade the countries that they're originally from, but it'll not allow them to go back to that country no matter what, when you step foot. So when you go to an airport and they tell you to be there 3 hours prior, the reason behind that is because when you're getting on that plane, they're doing a background check on you. So when you land in the place of origin that you're originally from, Border Patrol will be waiting for you to arrest you or to freeze or seize your assets. And they'll actually deny for you to be able to leave, and they'll seize your passport. That's the whole reason when you're flying is why they do that. Right. And I don't think people understand that. So the 3 hours prior to going to an airport is not for you to be there on time to get for your plane. It's time for them to be able to do a cross reference to see if there's any outstanding warrants or any type of, concerns with that individual. And they don't usually tell you at the airport that you're leaving from. They wait for you to land in the origin of the country that you're from so that they can arrest you. And I deal with that a lot with the private jet sector because, I get a lot of people that will take private jets because it's not as
Monitored.
So much information that you need to get on a private jet. If you can pay to fly, like from Toronto to Costa Rica, one way you're looking anywhere between 60 to 90,000 US for your flight. You're pretty much paying for whatever it is you want to do to get in. Like I said, I do take with my clients, and we did come in and we flew privately to get to Costa Rica. So I've seen firsthand how it works if you can pay to play, there's no concerns for you. But for the average person, they got to take a commercial flight, right? So you have to follow the rules 100%.
Or drive.
Driving, man, even when you're going through the border, it's always going to be a hit and miss. It'll always be a hit and miss because like when Canada, when you leave and you're driving over the Rainbow Bridge, whatever, 15 kilometers prior, which would be about like 8-9 miles prior, there are cameras set up to take pictures of the license plate and take pictures of the individuals in the car. That's why when you get to the border and you got tinted windows, they say, put your back windows down. You're putting your back windows down because they're actually, scanning whoever the individuals are in the back of the car to be able to do a check on them and a cross reference so that they can get you in trouble at the border.
Yeah. No, I was just joking because I guess and for some people, that is a benefit of Costa Rica is you could drive down there.
100%.
As opposed to something in South America.
100%. But a little sketchy when you're driving because you're going through some of the worst places to get here, right? And it's like a 4-day drive.
But yeah, you gotta do it once in your life, I think.
For sure. I have yet to do it. I'm always flying, but one day I probably will.
Anything else about the private jet stuff that you want to mention? Thank you for kind of coming full circle on that because I haven't really had any. I've done 300 plus podcasts. I don't think we haven't talked too much about the private jet stuff very very much. Is there anything kind of interesting or a story there you'd be willing to share?
When we took the private jet, it was just at the beginning of COVID, and nobody would fly guard dogs. Any type of big dog you had, you couldn't get him on a plane. I had a Doberman of 120 pounds, and he was trained as a guard dog. So my wife goes, if the dog's not coming, I'm not coming. I'm thinking, damn it. So one of my clients is, the Mission Impossible producer. I asked him if I could borrow his jet through his contact. And not a problem. He goes, just cover the fees for the pilot, the landing fee, the exit fee, the crew members, the gas and all that. And you can take my jet, Mark. I'm like, fantastic. And I'll send you pictures and videos. So we took the jet. My bill at that time, we're going over 5 years ago, came out to $55,000 one way, right? And most of that is, takeoff fees and permits from leaving from Toronto Pearson. Since then, during COVID, I had 2 to 3 private jets landing every day. Now, here's the example. When COVID had a lockdown, especially Canadians, if you didn't have a COVID pass, your shots, you couldn't get on a plane, train, or anything. You weren't allowed to leave the country. With the jets that we were bringing jets in from Colombia. We were bringing jets in from the UK, Dominican, Africa. The minute you step foot on that private jet on Canadian soil in Toronto, you're no longer part of the territory of Canada. You now belong to that origin of that country, so they couldn't touch you. So we had clients flying down $70, $90, $110,000 one way. We'd have like 2-3 families on a jet, and they'd be landing in Costa Rica with arms wide open. Not a problem, which was fantastic, right? But it is pretty easy when you're flying private. You don't get, there's no scrutiny. It's very easy access. You can get to where you have to be. And nobody bothers you. You don't land in the regular airport. You land in the private sector, right? And they pretty much greet you, welcome you in, take care of you, because they figure you can fly private and you can pay that money one way to fly a round trip. You got to be of somebody of importance.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's a lot
different set of standards.
That's cool. That's very cool. Okay. One kind of last quick topic here. I wanted to make sure we mentioned real estate a bit more. You mentioned in the beginning, you spent 20 years in the real estate sector in Canada. What are some of the big gotchas about real estate in Costa Rica, or differences between the real estate sector in Costa Rica versus Canada?
Okay, so my wife was still is. She's a real estate agent of 21 years. Her whole family's been real estate agents for over 40 years, and they own one of the biggest mortgage companies in Toronto and in Ontario. I was a high-end builder back in Canada originally. I built big houses for celebrities and very reputable people. The difference between Canada and Costa Rica, I now have financing, and I'm just waiting to get the approval that for a majority of people, for foreigners, I should be able to have financing for almost 100% of the home here in Costa Rica, using your assets through the U.S. But the big difference is, people are like, well, we're going to wait for the market to crash. The difference is here is majority of people are buying their houses outright. They're not mortgaging their homes, right? So people can sit on it. And because there's such an influx of people into Costa Rica, there's always people looking to rent. And a lot of people are willing to pay whatever they have to pay to get into something nice, to be in an expat community and not amongst, the local culture in certain areas, right? So they want to be in the tourist areas, which is not being prejudiced, but they want to be, like anything else, people want to be surrounded by.
It's normal, especially in the first couple of years.
Exactly, because you want to get to know your footings, your surroundings. Who do you appeal towards? What type of groups and all that, right? And I always tell people, when you come to Costa Rica, immerse yourself, like anywhere else in the world. Immerse yourself in the culture, the way they live, the way they are, who they are. Open up your arms, accept it, and learn from them, because we can actually learn a lot. That they live life to the fullest, where we tend to, as human natures of the North American style, we think about 30, 40 years ahead, 20 years ahead. Where am I going to be when I'm 60, when I'm 70? Where a lot of the Latin American people think of, well, I'm here today. I'm here now. I'm going to enjoy what's in front of me and not worry what's going to be in front of me in 20 years from now. Because who knows if I'm going to be in 20 years. I'm going to be there because life is a gift. We're not given every day. Every day is a gift. It's not something that we're privileged to have, right? So you do learn a lot from the culture here and the people themselves. But the real estate here is just booming. The housing market, prices. Like yesterday, I was out all day with families. I was actually out with individuals that work for the U.S. government. So I get to find out a lot of very interesting things that I don't post. But it's a booming market. but it is booming for the more well-to-do in Costa Rica because of that, right? And then I got a lot of people that ask me about Nicaragua, Panama. Now, when the lockdowns happened everywhere in the world, Costa Rica was pretty free and open. I know Mexico was too, right? But Panama and Nicaragua, man, if you walked outside in Panama without a mask on, it was a $1,200
Yeah,
fine.
they were strict. They were very strict in Panama.
They're very strict. Even if you walk off a beach right now and go onto a main street with no shirt, it's a $500 to a $700 fine because you're exposing yourself.
In Panama or in Costa Rica?
Panama.
Okay. Yeah, people don't realize that in Latin America, like it's not cool to like go for a run without your shirt on.
In Costa Rica, man, we have guys running around. We have girls in like their bikinis walking up and down the street, going into restaurants, and guys just have their shorts on. They're going to the grocery stores, restaurants. Your dogs are with you everywhere. They're going into the stores, the restaurants with you. It's just very free and open, which is what I kind of like, right? And people think that, well, do you have grocery stores? Do you have shopping malls? If you go to Escazú, it's like Hollywood Boulevard of Hollywood. You got people driving Koenigseggs, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Mercedes, Porsches, big shopping centers, anything and everything. But the cool thing about it is your dog is part of your family, so your dog gets to go with you anywhere and everywhere you go, which is what I kind of like.
So you'd say Costa Rica is a lot more dog friendly than Canada?
Man, dog friendly is an understatement. In Canada, if you walk around, like let's say you have a pit bull, your dog has to be muzzled. If your dog's off a leash, you get in trouble. Here, people are like, oh my God, the dog's walking the street. I'm like, and the dogs are smart. They sit on the side of the road. And I've seen it in Mexico. They actually look both ways before they cross the road to make sure there's no cars because they're used to their routine, right? It's just an open way of life. My dogs stay in my house. My dogs are my guard dogs here, right? I don't like to have them mix and mingle a lot. But you go to the beach and the dogs are running out of the ocean. They're sitting in the bars. They're sitting in the restaurants, right? I went to one restaurant in Jaco watching the surf competition, and their mascot is a 600-pound black pig. And the pig comes over and rubs up against me because he wants food, right? And I'm looking down. I'm thinking, at first, any normal person would be like, oh my God, there's a pig next to me, 600 pounds, and this thing's just lying down. Me, I'm like, pretty cool. I look around. There's pictures of the pigs with celebrities. Because it's the mascot of the actual restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. I like so it's cool when you see it. And I don't know if you see it in Mexico, but it's cool, man. When you're going around and you just see all the different type of mascots or the animals just walking around, you're like, hey, this is pretty cool. It's like being back in the 80s, right? With modern technology, right? All the houses here have fiber optic internet, but cash is always king. You move around. If they try to change certain laws in Costa Rica, the Costa Ricans will fight. They will physically fight with the government. And the government backs down, right? Because they have nothing to lose or they have a lot to lose, right? So it kind of shows people that, you don't mess with the citizens of the country, right? Christmas is Merry Christmas. It's not Happy Holiday Seasons Greetings. It's Merry Christmas, which is what I kind of like, right?
I like that too, yeah.
Yeah, I freaking love it. And Sundays, every Sunday's family day. There's beach parties. A lot of the restaurants have pools. I've walked down the beaches and you smell some of the people's food and you're like, oh my God, that smells fantastic. And they bring you a plate. They actually would just walk on the beach and bring you a plate of food. And you're like, you don't even know who they are. But they're like, here, comida. I'm like, no, I'm good. No, you have to try it. Just try it, please. So you try and you're like, oh my God, the food is fantastic. Right? So they're very with open arms and very welcoming. I have yet to meet a Costa Rican in my area that has been rude to me. And confrontation wise is when you get upset with them, they don't fight back. They just look at you and they wait for you to finish taking your hissy fit and they ask you if you're done. Or they just walk away because they don't like confrontation because they're not used to having confrontation. You learn a lot. You learn what pura vida. Pura vida either means it's a beautiful life, but pura vida also means for F's sakes, are you kidding me at this moment? Right? Because mañana, ahorita, later on, tomorrow. Well, tomorrow never comes. Later on never comes, right? But you get kind of used to it, which is kind of nice.
That's cool. So Savoia, the last name, are you like Italian, Canadian, Portuguese?
Man, Savoia was Savoia. No. Savoia was originated the king of Italy. So I'm Italian Irish, right? So yeah, my last name is I'm in the open. My phone number, I put it multiple times online. My WhatsApp, I show people how to keep their local Canadian American numbers for like
Hmm.
$15, $16 a month.
Yep.
Yeah, all the little pointers and tips, man. But no, I'm in the open. Anyone
Okay.
can see me and
No, it's
search me.
cool. The Italian Canadian from Vaughan, from
North of Toronto, we were by Hockley Valley in
Hockley Valley.
Mono. Yeah, man.
A lot of the Italians are up in what is it, Vaughan and Richmond
Not
Hills.
anymore, man. Now the dynamics is changing. The
Okay, where are
dynamics
the
is changing.
Italians moving?
Italians are moving to Florida. They're moving to Mexico. They're moving to Costa Rica. A lot of them are getting out. And there's another ethnic group that's moving in. If you read between the lines.
Okay, so the Italian Canadian is made his home in Costa Rica. Happy. I got to introduce you to my friend Spencer Barber. I think the podcast will come out around this same time. So if anyone listening to this wants some more Costa Rica knowledge, specifically construction and building homes in Costa Rica, check out this other episode we have with Spencer Barber. We've had some other Costa Rica episodes as well for the audience. We had one with Sarah Elena. I'm not sure if you've met her before, an American in Costa Rica.
She's a relocation specialist. A lot of the relocation company here has got really upset because what I offer you online, my 6-course video for free on my website at no additional charge, my 44-page ebook,
Uh-huh.
they start at $1,900 to $2,500 with the other companies. They charge you for that stuff. So I've had a lot of relocation companies actually come to me and ask me for my contacts, which I will not give out because they don't have access to those contacts, right? But they charge for that when I'm giving away for free. So that's my side gig. You purchase with me and I will open any doors you want anywhere from any part of the world here in Costa Rica to move yourself, get your assets, put you in a community and fully shield and protect you at no charge.
That's cool. Well, I'll ask you, the specifics of your business model offline because I'm curious. But
Yep.
people can reach out through the website and through the link that we'll put in the description and kind of work their way to you. How's that sound?
Sounds amazing. But Sarah herself, she is a fantastic woman. She's actually in Hako, and she has helped thousands and thousands. She will hold your hand and guide you along the way.
Mhm.
We're similar in line, but like I said, I own a real estate brokerage. People are looking to build, move, what to do, how to do it. I'll offer those anything and everything for free. As long as you use us to buy, I'll open any door you want, no charge.
That makes sense. Cool, man. Anything else you want to add as we get to wrapping up the episode?
No, man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on your talk show and to be able to podcast and to connect with people. The more connections, the more doors you open, you're always going to be better off, right? Never burn your bridges. But anyone looking to reach out and they want to know the true experience, I don't sugarcoat nothing. I've told thousands of people that want to make the move here and they don't have the sufficient funds to make the move. I tell them, don't even bother. I'll tell them where to go. And the ones that have good online presence when it comes to business and financial, I will show them and guide them how to make the move to Costa Rica. Or the ones that want to retire and they have had enough with what's going on around the world. They want to make this move and disconnect from the rest of the world. Not a problem. Here to help.
Awesome, Mark. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast, or as you call it, the talk show. Maybe I should start calling it a talk show.
It is, man.
Thank you for coming on. No, we really appreciate it. And we don't talk about Costa Rica enough, but it's like steady chugging. It's always there, and it's definitely a really attractive option for a lot of people. So thanks for shining some light on it today for the audience.
Vance, I appreciate it, brother. You stay safe and keep educating and putting the word out there. It does help a lot of people when they have miscommunication or they're getting construed information online. So it's nice to have individuals like yourself that guide people and show them the realities, the good, the bad, the ugly, but the amazing as well, right? Hopefully I fit in that category of amazing, but Time will tell. Time will tell, brother.
I know. We definitely could have gone more into the vibes of what it's actually like to live in Costa Rica. The bring the dog to the cafe, eat the
Oh
fruit,
yeah,
and the spontaneous
100%.
plans and everything. But people know that that's what's waiting for them in Latin America is the spontaneous plans and kind of getting out of that rigid Canadian lifestyle.
I'm gonna tell you one more thing. Okay, so when I was younger, I flatlined. All right, this is gonna be a little story, like quick, and you can put it on if you
Okay.
want. You don't have to.
No,
But
yeah, sure, go for it.
when I was in the hospital for 3 months, I was in the ICU ward and I thought I had heart issues. I had this old guy in this room next to me because I was a bodybuilder when I was younger. And this old guy's laughing at me, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna rip these cords out of me. I'm gonna come over, and I'm gonna beat you in the head with my piss pot. And he started laughing at me. He's like, buddy, he's like, relax. So, being passive, you're lying there and I'm listening to his stories. Stories, 85 years old. He couldn't have another triple bypass. He had cancer. He's like, I'm going to die in this bed, Mark. He goes, you have a chance. I was 21 years old. So I listened to his story and he gave me some good knowledge. He goes, don't let fear drive you in the direction that's going to scare you in life. The one thing you never get back is time. Once your time is gone, your time is gone for good. You can't pick the family you're born into or the religion that you're born into, but you can choose the family, you can choose the religion you want. But he goes, the most important thing of all, he goes, whenever you're with someone, whatever, always be thankful for them. Your spouse, my wife, every night before I go to bed, I tell her that I love her. I've been married for over 20 years. The reason being is that life is a gift. The next day is not a guarantee for you. It's something precious. So take advantage. So if you're so scared about life and you're scared about, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? He goes, erase that from your mind. That's what media and people are telling you to do. He goes, live your life to the fullest because before you know it, he goes, you're going to end up my age, 85 years old. And I'm 48. And I'm like, oh my God, man. I look at my friends that are, one of my guys works for me is like 20 years old. And I'm thinking, man, you're young. He looks at me. He's like, well, you're not that old yet. I'm like, brother, I'm 48. Before I know I'm going to blink, I'm going to be 68, 88. Hopefully I make it to that age. Right. So anyone out there listening to this, take the chance. Think with your heart, think with your gut. Don't think with your mind. Because our mind will sometimes guide us in a direction that's not the right way, man.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I totally agree. I think time slows down when you make a move as well. It's unbeatable. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today, Mark Savoya, the Costa Rica Playbook, Real Estate and Relocation. There'll be a link in the description to his website or YouTube or somewhere you can download the Costa Rica Playbook and get the guide and get in touch with Mark.
Looking forward to it. And then maybe one day I'm going to see you here in Costa Rica.
Yes. So thanks again to the audience. Please subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, podcast players. Leave a review, leave a 5-star review, subscribe, follow the show. We put out 2 episodes a week with amazing guests like Mark, and you won't want to miss an episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Ciao for now.